Hello everybody, and welcome to the very first review by the Silver Screen Scrooge. Today, we will be tackling one of the worst films by one of the worst animation studios in the world, Video Brinquedo. Now, what's the film that I'm going to review, you ask? The Little Panda Fighter. Before we get into the review, let's go over exactly what Video Brinquedo is all about. Video Brinquedo is a small Brazilian-based company that creates C-grade animated features based on much popular films, such as The Little Cars for Cars, Ratatouille for Ratatouille, Gladiformers for Transformers, and for this review, The Little Panda Fighter based on Kung Fu Panda. Ratatouille has already been reviewed on ThatGuyWithTheGlasses.com by FilmBrain on his Bad Movie Beatdown segment. I will put a link to that video in the description. Now, without much further ado, let's start the review. So we open on our main character, Panda, shaking his bottom and dreaming about something. It isn't explained to us right away.
Stop the daydreaming, Panda. That floor ain't gonna mop itself, you know.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Polaris. I guess I must have drifted off for a second. It won't happen again, sir, I promise. I'll get this floor done in no time.
The bear in question is voiced by Dan Green, who is also known for playing Yugi Moto from Yu-Gi-Oh! And Knuckles the Echidna from Sonic the Hedgehog, as well as many other familiar voice roles. For somebody who is so popular and has such a wide array of voice acting roles, I have only one thing to say about his decision to star in this.
Dan Green, I am disappointed.
Now we can actually get to see what he was daydreaming about. Something about fighting, perhaps. Oh wait, he's daydreaming about dancing and a hairdo even Hulk Hogan would laugh at. Now, excusing the lazy animation, for a movie that's called The Little Panda Fighter, it's not really off to the best start. Shortly after this scene, we cut to an actual fight going on between what looks more like a Nazi science experiment than a bear named Freak Teddy, and a much smaller fighter named Sweet Bear who bears lots of resemblance to a Care Bear. Before I continue, let me just address something. This movie is based on the Kung Fu Panda, so I would assume it's at least based on some sort of martial arts, if not Kung Fu. So why do they focus mostly on boxing? That doesn't seem to have any Oriental descent at all. Naturally, Sweet Bear loses, but not after one of the most horrendously edited scenes in recent memory in any film.
Oh, talk about your rub-a-dub, ladies and gentlemen. Can this mean victory for Sweet and defeat for Teddy?
Folks, that scene was not edited by me. That was edited by a paid employer at Video Brinquedo. I mean, come on, even Diamanda Hagen's intro's more easily comprehensible than that. The polar bear from before, Mr. Polaris, talks to another smaller bear named Mr. Grizzlepuss, who I no doubt believe must be a distant relative of the snot-nosed boy from Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker, about how Freak Teddy hasn't lost a match in a long time, and they are losing revenue because of it.
I don't believe it. He's killing me, this guy. He wins every time. That's why no one comes to the fights no more. It's a joke. There's no suspense anymore. Everyone knows he's gonna win. Freak Teddy is putting me out of business, I tell you.
Yeah, sure. Just like when you were fighting Polaris. No one could beat you either. You were champ for 3 years until you retired and opened this place.
What I wouldn't do to get back in the ring. I'd show that Thunder Chump a thing or two.
After this scene, Panda confronts Mr. Polaris in his office.
Well, sir, I was wondering if, that is, if you don't mind, I'd like to go home early tonight.
No skin off of my back. It has been a pretty slow night tonight. We got nothing but slow nights lately. Place reminds me of a morgue. Go on, get out of here.
Was that long, drawn-out sequence of him walking to the desk really necessary? I mean, not only that, but after he gets there, he starts to scratch the desk with his claw. You know, if I was Mr. Polaris and I caught that, I would have fired Panda right on the spot. After Panda leaves, he goes and sees an old monk bear named Master Jin.
So sorry I'm late, Master Jin.
Please go put on the proper attire for chanting the mantra. You're interrupting my meditation.
You see, I was chatting with my boss at the club, and before I knew it, I was...
Make it snappy.
Yes. Right away, Master Jin. I swear I won't be late again, I promise.
Now, we can only assume he talks to Master Jin about how to become a better fighter, right? I mean, the title is Little Panda Fighter, and we've only seen one fight, and it hasn't involved Panda at all. So finally, we're actually getting somewhere with Panda fighting, right? Yes. Because that's how they graded their mentors back in the day. Starting up a jukebox and dancing in front of them. Even Master Jin is surprised beyond belief. After that short but powerful display of stupidity, Pinkata talks to Master Jin about how he can become a better how to impress some girl where he works. Really?
What's weighing you down?
Well, you know, I've always been a little pudgy.
That's not what I meant. What burdens your mind?
Well, there's this girl. We work together down at the club, see? And I think she's really neat and everything. But she doesn't even know I exist. To that girl, I'm just a loser.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
Pinkata, you've done literally everything but fight, and now when we think that we're actually going to get something related to fighting with you, you talk about this stupid girl you want to impress? Dude, you're not living up to the title of the movie. I know it's not necessarily your fault, but come on.
I'm talking about what's inside. That is your essence.
My essence?
Quiet, Pankata. Empty your mind of all your worldly and material thoughts.
My essence? Oh, he must be talking about my cologne.
Are you nuts?
That joke, Pinkata, was grossly unnecessary. And even if it wasn't a joke, are you really that stupid to think that essence meant your body odor? Back at the Bear Bar box, Mr. Polaris gets the idea of pretending to be Pinkata in order to save his store. He gives over a panda costume to Pinkata to wash. Of course, when he does, he starts dancing when the female bear walks in.
Someone down there? What are you up to, Pankata?
Gee, honey, I was just, you know, it's funny you should ask that. I was just practicing various martial arts techniques. Yeah!
You're kidding. Since when have you been into martial arts?
Who, me? Let's see. Well, probably like months.
I thought you told Mr. Grizzlepuss you hated fighting.
I do hate fighting. I mean, like, stupid fighting. The kind lacking in proper form and technique. Wah!
Hey, what's going on with the washing machine?
Nothing. Just some whites. Hey, do I hear a thirsty customer out there or something?
I didn't hear anything.
Also, Pinkata, you really should listen to her about the washing machine. The thing looks like it's about to explode. Unfortunately, this doesn't happen, and Polaris fights Freak Teddy himself dressed up as Pinkata. He eventually wins the fight. Spoilers. But what is Pinkata doing amongst all this? So I'm done assuming he's probably doing something focused on fighting. So movie, what do you got for me? What can you surprise me with now? Enough with the dancing! This is called Little Panda Fighter, not Little Dancing Fighter. If that's what you wanted to call it, then why didn't you? Nobody's gonna watch this anyways. Who's really gonna pay for this garbage? Are you serious? More dancing? And this time in front of judges, sorta like American Idol? Now I have to admit, Pinkata, not many people can jump over some judges like that so slow. But why? Why did nothing makes sense here? I mean, not like anything before made any sense, but this isn't even physically possible, and I know it's a cartoon, but still. Surprisingly, the judges are not impressed with Pinkata flying over them in slow motion, as one of them, who sounds like Tommy Wiseau doing a Homer Simpson impression, states.
Your execution was flawless. Your technique is totally mind-blowing. I just think you overreached a little at the end.
I really don't know what to say. I just dance what I feel, you know?
Because everyone thinks Pinkata won the fight, everyone's congratulating him, including Sweet Bear. So what does this sweet, cuddly, Care Bear-like little guy have to say about Pincata's victory?
Amazing, Pancata! Totally sensational! Who'd have thought a sweet guy like you had it in ya?
Yikes. Puberty hits some people harder than others. I guess that's how he got that broken heart in his chest. The other Care Bears kicked him out because his voice was too deep. Pincata heads up onto the Bear Bar box and talks to Mr. Polaris about the supposed victory. When this happens...
Master Jin! See, boss, he's like my modern dance instructor.
Dance instructor?
Yeah, and my audition piece was awesome. I mean, isn't that what everyone's talking about?
You mean... You thought I was really talking about... I thought I was going crazy. Sorry, kid. Ain't that a kick in the head? You see, kid, I guess I really didn't know what you were talking about.
You know, I'm beginning to think that the filmmakers intentionally put that excessively long laughter scene in there to kind of boost their own self-confidence, because they know that nobody else is going to laugh at their stuff. So they put an immeasurable amount of laughter in this scene just to make them feel a little bit better about what they're doing. That's just an assumption of mine.
Pancata, I misunderstood. I thought you were talking about the fight.
Oh! How could I forget? I was so freaked out about my dance audition that it didn't even cross my mind.
Pancata, why would you assume that everyone is congratulating you on your dancing instead of your fighting? You knew that Mr. Polaris was fighting in a costume based on a panda, and that everyone was going to be talking about the end of the fight. So why would you assume that they saw you dancing? The only people who saw you dancing was Master Jin and a few other judges. Do you have the memory of a goldfish?
Are you guys talking about something stupid or what?
My allergy-prone friend, that is the understatement of the ages. Pancata goes back to Master Jin, who, mind you, is not helping him necessarily at all, just critiquing his moves without actually getting his butt off the floor. Pincata tells the monk that the female bear now likes him all for a lie. Let's not forget. I guess keeping the whole thing a secret about Mr. Polaris winning the fight pretending to be him doesn't apply to dance instructing monks, as Pincata spills the beans as if he were drunk, or maybe he does have the memory of a goldfish.
I guess the good news is that she finally noticed me.
I'm happy to hear you followed the tips I gave you regarding love. But I must admit my surprise. I didn't really think it would work at all.
Well, it's not because of that. To tell you the truth, the real reason the girl likes me is because she thinks I'm some sort of boxing champion. I didn't try to trick her at all, but she thinks I'm a champ.
If you discover that you like when your friends call you this big boxer fighter man, then you must become this big boxer fighter to honor them.
Are you crazy? Fighter me? No way, no way. I don't believe in violence, remember?
So in a movie called The Little Panda Fighter, the panda in question is against violence? Movie, your title is as misleading as a Big Mac advertisement. Pincata has the idea of getting into the ring himself with the aforementioned science experiment, Freak Teddy. Polaris only agrees on the condition that Pincata loses on purpose so Mr. Polaris can bet against him and win the money. It shouldn't be too hard to accomplish, since Pincata is as much of a fighter as Lord of the Rings is based on historical events.
That former national heavyweight champ Freak Teddy and current champion Pancata will take to the ring once again for an exciting rematch.
And also, I like how they have the subplot of gambling. Definitely something fit for a child's cartoon. Apparently, everyone's talking about this big fight, including Mr. Grizzlepuss and the female bear, who is extremely rude and cuts him off mid-sentence, as you can hear in this hastily dubbed scene.
I've never seen so many customers here. I've already made a week's worth of tips.
Oh, here we go. Here we start the obligatory training montage set to a generic royalty-free version of the Rocky theme. And I use that term, Rocky theme, insanely loosely. This scene lasts for nearly 3 minutes, which may not seem long in a 2-hour film, but the entire running time of this thing is 50 minutes. And so begins the fight. Enjoy.
Remember, if you fight like you dance, you can never go wrong.
Folks, looks like Pancada's been knocked out cold by Freak Teddy, and Teddy has regained his title.
After the fight, as we've all expected, Mr. Polaris is rich and he goes on vacation to what appears to be the Arctic. Grizzlepuss finally catches on to the fact that the first fighter was actually not Pancada, but instead Mr. Polaris himself. But he obviously didn't notice the 3 D's in the word Teddy on the paper. Grizzlepuss's suspicions suddenly fizzle out randomly as we see him directing guests to watch one of the most asinine endings to any film I've ever seen. You know, I had an open mind about what the ending of this movie would be like, but really, this takes the cake. Not that I expected something to do with his dancing, as it was one of the subplots, but to end it on something so ridiculous and not relating to fighting in any way is quite the wrong idea. The title clearly states, The Little Panda Fighter, and throughout the film, Pancada is doing anything but fight, and what little he does, he loses horribly. Plus, he isn't little at all. In fact, other than maybe Freak Teddy and Mr. Polaris, he's one of those larger characters in terms of body mass ratio. This entire film fails to live up to the title itself over and over, let alone sinking much deeper than I previously assumed in how bad it would be. This is another ball out of the park for Video Brinquito in terms of ridiculousness, effortlessness, and all-around laziness. Although the running time is only 50 minutes, I had to take a break in the middle to do something else for a while before returning to watch it, just to take the mind off the abhorrent quality and editing so bad, one could make more visual sense out of watching a kaleidoscope. I'm the Silver Screen Scrooge, and I give my first and definitely deserving bah humbug for this abysmal excuse of a film. I'll catch you all later.